My parents labeled my loving boyfriend a red flag for drinking beers and not having a degree. They failed to see he calls me wife, supports my dreams, and makes me feel at home. Am I blind to love, or is their judgment clouding their understanding? I, 22 female, recently had my boyfriend, 22 male, visit me in Ohio to meet my parents for the first time. We originally met online through gaming, and over the past 6 months, our relationship has transformed into something I have never experienced before in the best way. There was an immediate attraction the moment we started talking. We just clicked. However, it was not until a month later that he officially asked me to be his girlfriend during the last cooperative mission on Halo. Reach, I had never played any Halo game until I met him. It remains one of the most special moments I have ever experienced, and since then I have become increasingly interested in the Halo franchise and lore, along with him purchasing Halo-related items for me. He is from Texas and works full-time on an oil rig. Despite his demanding job, he has been consistent, kind, emotionally supportive, and incredibly affectionate. He calls me every day after work, FaceTimes me regularly, and we have watched The Walking Dead together all the way to Season 7. We also game together, and he always encourages me with compliments, both regarding my gameplay and my appearance. He is loving, respectful, flirty, and genuinely makes me feel appreciated. We have now met in person twice. First visit last month, he came to Ohio, and I visited him at his friend's house who also lives in Ohio. That is when we became intimate for the first time. He told me I was the first person he had ever been intimate with and that he waited for someone he truly loves, trusts, and wants to be with for the rest of his life. That moment was incredibly meaningful. We did a lot more than that, but most of this trip was dedicated to ensuring our connection was not solely emotional. We wanted to be physically together as well, going on dates, watching shows, cleaning and cooking dinner, supporting each other through various activities. Second visit, this past weekend, he came to visit me where I live and met my parents. We spent time together for 4 days, which only deepened our connection. When we are together, he treats me like I matter. He holds my hand constantly, cuddles me, opens doors, carries my things, and buys me thoughtful little gifts like books and Legos. He never leaves my side. He is the exact same person I have known online, but instead of just words, I get to witness his affection through his actions. He also proudly refers to me as his wife to everyone, including his family, friends, and even online. He showcases our relationship with pride, not in a performative manner, but because he genuinely wants the world to know he loves me. We share a significant amount of trust between us. We are exclusive, entirely committed to one another, and open in ways I have never experienced in a relationship. We have each other's phone passwords, and we have both used each other's phones openly without hesitation. There has never been any question regarding loyalty or honesty, it's effortless transparency. Our connection is deeper than anything I have ever had. We speak the same language, literally saying the same things at the same time, texting the exact same thoughts, and completing each other's sentences. He is not just someone I love, he genuinely feels like home. This is not just a fling. We have had serious, heartfelt conversations about our future. We discuss what we want to accomplish together over the next year, our plans to move, our dreams of traveling the world together, building a life side by side, and eventually settling down, getting married, and starting a family. It is not merely fantasy talk, it is intentional. We both have goals and want to create a future together. Now for the difficult part, my parents do not like him. They indicated that they needed to point out red flags, and after he left, they made it clear that they do not believe he is the right person for me. Here is what they said. When he drank beer while visiting, yes, he consumed a moderate amount, not excessively, but he never acted out of control. If anything, he becomes even more affectionate when he drinks. It is how he was raised, yet he is always respectful and in control. 2. He uses zins. They brought this up frequently, expressing concerns about health and habits. He does not hide it, but he also does not flaunt it. It does not affect how he treats me or how he functions. 3. He did not engage with them. He absolutely did. We had dinner, sat at the table for hours, and he participated in the conversation. He is naturally talkative and laid back, but he was polite, respectful, and certainly not ignoring anyone. 4. He does not have a college degree. They worry that he cannot support me, even though he makes as much, if not more, than I do. I have a degree and a full-time job, and I do not require financial support, but even if I did, he is capable. For context, I was raised in a very controlling household. I have done everything my parents asked, obtained my degree, secured a full-time job, avoided trouble, and always adhered to their rules. I have lived under tight supervision for years, and now that I have found someone who loves me without judgment, I feel as though I am being held back again. They are also concerned about my plan to move to Texas with him next year, saying I will not have a support system if something goes wrong. However, his family and he absolutely adores me. His parents have openly expressed that they would love for me to live with them or nearby, and his mother and I even text and FaceTime regularly. His friends are also incredibly welcoming. One even offered me a place to stay if I ever needed it. His world feels safe, supportive, and loving. Mine feels cold and critical. I know my parents care about me. I am not trying to disregard their perspective, but I also cannot ignore how controlling they have been and how deeply I care for this man. He means everything to me. He makes me feel loved, secure, and accepted in ways I never thought I would experience. Finally, I have found someone who offers me peace rather than pressure, love instead of judgment. Am I being blinded by love, or are they being overly judgmental regarding personality and lifestyle differences? How do I navigate this without losing either him or my family? Edit 1. Hi everyone, I apologize for disappearing. I went to bed early, but it is now 4 a.m. and I am having trouble sleeping. Shortly after writing this post and reading some of the comments, I called him to discuss some of the points raised. We talked about his drinking habits, including why he believed it was acceptable to do that in front of my parents. He apologized profusely, saying that if I wanted him to stop drinking altogether, he would do so and would only drink in moderation. I agreed. We also discussed the plan to move to Texas next year and the idea of slowing things down. He apologized for making it feel rushed and said he would be more than okay if I wanted to wait longer than a year while we slowed our relationship down. He emphasized that there should not be a rush and asked if there was anything he could personally improve or if I felt pressured. I explained how I truly felt. It did not necessarily feel rushed, but I believe we should take significantly more time than what we currently have, and he agreed and apologized. He stated that our relationship should not feel rushed and that he would give me as much time as I need. We even talked about the possibility of him relocating here, and he is more than willing to do that and find another job to support us if that happens. I addressed the term wife with him as well. I do not mind it personally, but since I am not actually married to him yet, I do not feel any need or obligation for him to refer to me that way. He again apologized for using that term. We have plans to see each other at least once a month or every 2 months for the next year. I am planning to visit Texas for a weekend for his birthday next month, and I am going on vacation with him and his family in May. I have not thought far ahead into June or beyond, but I know he would book a flight just to see me in a heartbeat. Regarding some of the questions I received. 1. Shortly after picking him up at the airport, we went to the store together to buy alcohol. I was already aware of his drinking habits at that time since we did this the first time we met. I did not see anything wrong with it since I had informed him that we do not keep a lot of alcohol at my parents' house. This is not to defend him, as I made sure he understood that I felt his drinking habits needed moderation during the call we had earlier. 2. I live with my parents. I have recently graduated college and secured my full-time job, so I am currently living at home to save money for my own place. 3. I apologize for focusing on the positives. I did not think to include any negatives about him in my initial post. I tend to only see the potential good in him. Yes, we have definitely had our ups and downs, and both he and I are not perfect people. We have had our fair share of arguments and disagreements. To be honest, there were many points brought up in the conversation with my parents that I was unaware of regarding him. 4. As a side note, I have met and played games with his friends. I usually join a call with them after I get home to discuss and play games together. They have all known each other for over a decade, and I trust their word and know them all well. Nothing they have told me about him has been a lie, and all their stories about his life experiences have aligned. 5. He has had one other serious relationship in his life. He was 16 in high school and has not dated anyone since. To summarize, her parents made her break up with him due to some issues with communication. From what I gathered, he used to be a bully in high school and everyone was afraid of him. Since then, he has not dated anyone, as I have learned through his friends that he experienced multiple failed talking stages over the past 2 years, specifically with 3 girls I have heard about. His friends informed me about all 3 before we started dating. They assumed that I would also become a failed talking stage, but they were surprised when he asked me to be his girlfriend, as he had never asked those girls to be his partner. His friends have since been extremely kind and accepting of me, making me feel part of their small group. 3 of them live relatively close together in a different state and invited me and him to visit sometime next year. Again, they have known each other since childhood, playing games together since they were 12, so I do not see anything wrong with it. Additionally, he met with the 3 of them earlier this year. He explained to me that he has not dated anyone because nowadays, people seem mostly interested in casual relationships rather than anything serious. He considers finding me knowing what I am looking for and having shared values to be incredibly rare, and he can envision a future with me. While we do not share all of the same interests, during the time I have known him, we never run out of things to talk about, whether about each other, our lives, or our future plans together. 6. He has always been very generous with his money. When he visited the 3 friends I mentioned earlier, he frequently paid for dinner or covered one of their expenses when needed. He has also bought me and the guys a few video games occasionally so he can play with us. Therefore, I do not see anything wrong with him buying me a Lego set or a couple of books, or going out for lunch or dinner together. I often try to pull out my card to pay, but he insists on covering it, saying that it is on him and that I should be treated like a lady. 7. I do not mind moving to Texas. Yes, I am on birth control and have been for over 5 years. We are both extremely cautious regarding this, using additional protection as necessary. We discuss intimacy frequently since I tend to experience frequent urinary tract infections after intercourse. Therefore, the subject of me wanting to wait comes up often. He has assured me that he is more than willing to wait so we can resolve any issues regarding my health, and he has made it clear that I can say no, which I have done. When he visited this past weekend, we did not have intercourse at all. I should also mention that the first time we met, we established a safe word and a physical gesture to ensure mutual comfort. He wants to guarantee that I feel perfectly okay, and I have used my safe word with him before, which causes him to stop immediately. 8. I have had 3 serious relationships in my life. I had 2 significant college relationships, both of which progressed at a pace similar to this one. In my last serious relationship, there was talk of me relocating to where my ex lived after graduation. However, we broke up during my senior year, so those discussions never advanced, but the conversation about moving was present. The only difference is that my ex and I had been dating for almost 2 years by that time. Therefore, I now understand that the moving situation should not be rushed. Edit 2. My parents did not address any of these issues or his drinking habits in front of him. These were all comments I heard later after he had left. I was wrong to assume they would confront him about these matters, and my father even offered him whiskey during their conversation, so I did not personally perceive any issues with his drinking. Edit 3. I could not sleep after updating this post. I ended up calling him around 5 a.m. this morning to discuss these issues in more depth. He wholeheartedly agreed to quit drinking, or if I suspect he is drinking, he will FaceTime me immediately to demonstrate otherwise. Regarding the nicotine addiction, he plans to wean himself off over the next few months. He has been addicted since he was 12 years old. I communicated these concerns as health issues I independently noted, separate from my parents' opinions. These are significant health risks. People should not be consuming 10 beers a night. I also emphasized that these changes should not be made solely for me. He needs to change for his well-being. He now recognizes these genuine health concerns. If there is anything else I have not addressed, please leave a comment and I will try to respond tomorrow. Edit 4. Hello everyone, thank you very much for all the thoughtful responses. I have decided that I will no longer comment or read this thread after today. I plan to take things one day at a time and live each day as it comes, whether positive or negative, and definitely slow down the pace of the relationship. Every comment has provided something valuable. Many of you have raised legitimate concerns, and I appreciate how this has caused me to pause and reassess some of my own boundaries, values, and morals. Thank you again for the advice, support, and honesty. Perhaps I will have an update in the future or maybe not. Take care, Blue Lentils. Story 2. My 38-year-old boyfriend's mom always crashes our romantic plans. I can't watch a romantic movie with her, I protested as she joined our date night. The worst, he prioritized a trip with her over our vacation. Am I dating him or his mom? What's next? When I first started dating my boyfriend, I really liked his mother. She is enjoyable to be around, and we engaged in many activities together, such as nature walks, dinners, and movie nights. I did not think much of it when my parents appeared surprised that his mother was always included, as I believed he simply liked having her around, especially since he had been recovering from an illness. However, after about 10 months, I began to observe some uncomfortable patterns. One night, I wanted to watch a romantic movie titled Baby Girl that I had been eagerly anticipating. He planned the evening but then invited his mother to join us, despite my repeated indications that I was not comfortable viewing that type of film with her. It was intended to be a date night, but he even ordered popcorn for the 3 of us. Moreover, a few weeks earlier, I had hoped to see a movie in the theater with him for the first time, but he chose Nosferatu because his mother enjoys vampire films and invited her along, turning what was supposed to be our date into a family outing. They had been to the movies together in the theater alone before, so I ended up staying in his bedroom, which felt forced. I could sense how uncomfortable he was about it, as if he were letting his mother down after he had told her we might watch a movie together. Regardless, that movie was unappealing, and we only ended up being intimate twice. By 1 a.m., he asked if I wanted to have tea and the desserts he ordered with the popcorn. I agreed and went to the kitchen, only for him to bring his mother to join us. The next morning, I was sitting in the living room playing with the cat or doing something similar. We were aware of each other's presence, yet neither of us said hello. This happened just once. Later on, I overheard them whispering in her room. They spoke another language. Who whispers in the middle of the day in their own home? I knew they were discussing me. Later, he mentioned if I had noticed that I did not greet his mother that morning. It was literally the only time I had not greeted her in 10 months. I thought it was nothing at all. Had they never lived with someone else before, did they not understand how to deal with people? If one person does not say hello, it should not be taken personally if they know me and like me. A single instance should not have that impact. Perhaps if it had continued for a week, I could understand. So later she returned home and I made a point to greet her, but she looked at me unenthusiastically. I thought, whatever, I don't care, maybe she was just having a bad day. This did not change my opinion of her, which I know to be that she is a very kind person. Later during an argument, he told me his mother said I made her feel inferior. He is the first to tell me that he is not responsible for my feelings. However, when his mother claims that I made her feel a certain way, it becomes a significant issue. And it did. We argued about it for an entire week. In another instance, I spent time with him from Friday until Tuesday. He has the opportunity to plan weekend getaways anytime. After the last event, I realized how close he was to his mother, which began to make me uncomfortable. I expressed to him how much I would love to go on a vacation with him to a village just a 2-hour drive from where we live. He mentioned going. I stated I would love to go, but only if we spent the night, as I did not want to drive there and back in one day. So I left on Tuesday and he invited me to Whistler. I asked if he would be spending the night and he said no, as hotels were too expensive at that time. I responded that in that case, no thanks. He left around 3-4 p.m. and I thought that was a strange time to leave to drive back. Then he ended up spending the night there. He went with his mother and sister. It was the Tuesday after Valentine's Day. I felt like he was doing that for them as a Valentine's gift, as he is the only man in their lives. I could not handle it after I explained how much I wanted to do that specifically with him, and yet he chose to go with his mother and spend the night. I even mentioned to him a country I was planning to visit for an appointment I was considering making. He said he would want to accompany me. When I began to ask more questions, it turned out he wanted his mother to join us. For what would be our first vacation together, he wanted his mother along on my own trip that I was planning. I found this ridiculous. I would prefer to go alone. It had nothing to do with his mother. It was the desire to do romantic couple vacations, not a family group sightseeing activity. If his mother accompanied us, I felt we could not just leave her alone. It would be so inconsiderate. Then he suggested bringing his sister so we could do activities together with them and then also have time alone. There are instances where he purchases expensive clothing. He did not have much style or many nice clothes, only comfortable home wear or older items. When he started dating me, he wanted to dress better, and I assisted him because he desired it. I never pressured him to buy anything. He would buy numerous items to build his wardrobe, and his mother would act very upset and blame me. I am 29 and he is 38. He is a grown man. Who am I to dictate what a man can or cannot buy? I sensed that she blamed me for him spending a considerable amount of money, and he would also buy me things that he always wanted to show her afterward. I eventually stopped allowing him to do this. I received a Chanel purse for Christmas that I selected, and his mother later told him she wanted the same one. He purchased gloves for me that I chose, and his mother then told him she wanted them, so he bought them for me to gift her for Christmas. He moved apartments to one just 3 minutes closer to the mall, and she advised me not to walk to the mall but instead to go for nature walks with him. I dislike the underlying vibe that I am spending his money, yet he literally gives her money since he retired her and probably supports his sister, who does not have a job. If someone is 38 and earns their own money, why would I have a say in how they spend it? She should communicate these concerns directly to him. I do not need it aimed at me. I had been in a relationship for 10.5 years before this, and I never mentioned to my partner how he spent his money. He would give his mother $50,000 for her birthday and I would not care. He bought his sister a Mercedes. He was very generous to his family, and I think it is admirable when a man cares about his family, as it reflects good character. However, I have never encountered a man who is generous to his family and then has them become jealous or concerned about spending money on his girlfriend. Furthermore, my ex would never ask his mother to clean anything. He would hire her a house cleaner. My current boyfriend gives the impression that he is a child who needs his mother to clean up after him. If you retire your mother and want her to enjoy life, as he claims, how is taking care of her son's daily chores enjoyable? When we go for walks or eat, he is constantly texting his mother, sending her photos and updating her, and she reciprocates. She goes for hikes and does literally anything at all, sending him photos and updates or calling him. It is truly overwhelming. I feel as if my own boyfriend has another woman in his life and that woman is his mother. Last weekend, my shoulder and neck were aching. I had my period and gave him multiple intimate favors. We went for a massage because I continued to express my discomfort. I started watching White Lotus with him, maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, when he mentioned to his mother that she should catch up so we could watch it all together. So I was in bed freezing cold with my period and not feeling well. He kept asking me if we were going to watch White Lotus, pressuring me due to his mother's interest. I felt uncomfortable as the couch was aggravating, making me turn my neck to watch it. Subsequently, he ran me a bath, ordered me food, and was very sweet, which led me to watch it just to get it over with. Afterward, he softly asked if I wanted to watch a movie, and I was confused. It seemed like he was trying to orchestrate these plans because he wanted to watch movies with his mother. He began showing a preview of some movie, asking his mother if she wanted to watch it. I told him how uncomfortable I was on the couch, but he proceeded regardless. I went to the washroom and then laid in bed. 5 minutes later, he came in and asked if I would join him to watch the movie. I reminded him that I had told him how my neck hurt and how uncomfortable the couch was for me. Like what? This just made me feel as though he did not consider my feelings and simply wanted to do these things with his mother. They could watch movies together every night that I'm not there. Why can't we just spend time alone when we are together? It feels as though his mother is not trying to third wheel us all the time. It is more like he wants her to be involved and invites her. I do not even blame her, it is him. However, she does indulge him, making it seem like he does not need me. How can I be a partner to him, and how could I see myself as the woman in his life or even as his wife when his mother is preparing fruit plates for him and doing his laundry, cleaning up after him? When I saw his mother bring him a fruit plate, I perceived him as a child. I prepare fruit plates for my daughter. Honestly, I used to manage everything, including cooking, snacks, baking, cleaning, and all household responsibilities in my previous relationship, and I never saw an issue with that. I would like to fulfill this role for my current boyfriend. However, when I see his mother doing it, I view him as a child overly attached to his mother. At his age, he should need a wife, not his mother caretaking him. These are responsibilities I should be undertaking for him and our children should we have any. I am struggling to understand what my role would be in this relationship if it were to progress. What if we lived together? Would I simply take on all the responsibilities of the household while his mother relaxed and did her own thing every day? Or would his mother and I become co-wives to his needs? Additionally, he complains that I do not clean as often as I used to. However, the difference is that I now have my own apartment with many more responsibilities than I did previously, and I have a child. Does he expect me to be some kind of servant to him and his mother, making her life easier? I dislike contemplating these thoughts, but given all these events that have occurred, I cannot help but wonder. I mentioned to him how much my daughter enjoys spending time with her grandmother because they partake in so many fun activities together and even get ice cream. I believe that even if she does not eat the healthiest while visiting her, it is worth it for the memories they create. He shared that he experienced a similar relationship with his grandmother and cherished visiting her so much that his mother stopped going to her home altogether. This was one of the first points that captured my attention. How could someone be envious of the bond between their child and their own mother? It is so beneficial to have a positive relationship with grandparents. He came over to my place, and I demonstrated how I have always made popcorn on the stove, using just kernels and oil followed by butter and salt. He really enjoyed it and had never tried it that way before. The next day, we were at his home, and he mentioned to his mother how I made the best popcorn he had ever tasted. She looked at me in a way that made me think. Later, she requested that I teach her how to make it. Heaven forbid someone else creates something her son considers the best. I really do not mind if she prepares it, it means less work for me. This past weekend, we discussed how his favorite band is coming to town, but we would need to travel to Toronto to see them. I thought this would be so enjoyable. It could be a lovely couples trip featuring an opportunity to create memories together. Then we learned that another band announced their arrival and they have a song we believe is our song. Yesterday, we were excitedly discussing it. Afterward, we took a nature walk with his mother and sister, had dinner, and watched White Lotus. Following that, we were hanging out and talking when he played our song on YouTube and said that they were coming, inviting them. I was stunned. I thought it would be a romantic, intimate experience, but no, they eagerly agreed. Later, I asked him if his mother and sister would attend his favorite band's concert in Toronto as well, and he replied yes. I cannot believe it. They live together and travel to different countries, just the two of them, Russia, Thailand, Monaco, the south of France, and many other places. They have gone together, just the two of them. He became ill and claims he retired his mother from her job so she could care for him. However, now that he is fine, he asserts that he will always have his mother living with him. He also mentioned that if we were to have a child, the girl would bear his mother's name. Absolutely not. I truly love him, and he is a great boyfriend in many ways, but this is a major issue. He believes his mother worked exceptionally hard and he wants her to enjoy life now. He sees her as a friend and wants her to share experiences with him. When my daughter grows up, I would not want her to prioritize me over forging her relationships and the opportunity to build her own family. My parents would never expect that of me either. I feel close to my parents, but I do not text them and provide daily updates like I do with my boyfriend. He does that with his mother. It feels as though she needs a man in her life because he is the only man present. Honestly, I think he enjoys it. He has not had many girlfriends. Why would he need one, given that he already has someone emotionally? I genuinely appreciate his family. It is just the amount of time spent together that is concerning, and the fact that he would prefer to engage in family activities that ought to be dates for us. Can someone please help me? I need guidance on how to make a relationship work under these circumstances. I apologize for how lengthy this is. Story 3. My 21st birthday turned tragic when a horrific car accident during my night shift left me with lifelong pain and a debilitating condition. I can't take a breath without pain, I told my mom during my agonizing recovery, yet I still face constant battles for help. After years of suffering, will I finally find relief? Hello. I am writing here because I have nowhere else to turn and no one to confide in. This will be lengthy. I am aware that no one may read it, but I have been on the brink for too long. In September 2017, when I was in my very early 20s, maybe just 21, I had completed emergency medical technician school and was employed at a specialty dementia and Alzheimer's care home as a medication technician. I quickly became a top-rated employee. I evacuated with all my patients for 3 hours during a hurricane, being the only regular staff member present as everyone else was in management. I experienced the death of a patient in my arms who had a do not resuscitate order and I was unable to perform CPR. I had a family member cry on my shoulder. I have faced patients who tackled me. Yes, dementia can be overwhelming, threw phones at me, ran me over with their wheelchairs, hit, punched, scratched, spat, knocked medication away, groped me, and screamed at me. However, I have also had patients call me by their granddaughter's or sister's name. I have seen them cry and express their gratitude when I cleaned them up after an accident. Some attempted to escape with me. I fed several of them when they were too weak to lift their forks. I was called into work because I was the only one Mr. John would allow to give him a shower after he had an explosive accident. I was contacted over the walkie-talkie because I was the only person who could encourage Gino to eat. I loved every aspect of my job. My workplace was going to finance my nursing school education. I worked the 3:00 p.m. to 11:00 p.m. shift and was not allowed to leave until enough relief staff arrived to meet ratios. When the second staff member finally showed up around 11:15 p.m. and I completed my reports to both, I started heading home around 11:30 p.m. I lived about 10 minutes from work, involving 3 traffic lights and a right turn. I had just purchased my first brand new car, a 2018 Toyota Corolla. I hadn't even made my first payment yet, and I would always call my mother using my amazing new Bluetooth speakers on the way home. She liked to know I had arrived safely. At the first light as I was driving through, suddenly a small car appeared in the middle of the road. They ran the light to make a U-turn and did not have their headlights on. They did not see me and I did not see them turn. The oldest person in the vehicle was 19, the driver. I cannot breathe, I cannot hear, and I cannot move. Everything turns white and smoky. I cannot see past the airbags. For a moment, I think I am dead until I recognize my mother's voice screaming over the Bluetooth. I tell her I believe I was in an accident, but I am not certain. I hear the voice of the state trooper who had been on the opposite side of the intersection. He witnessed everything. He tells me not to move and that help is on the way. 2 of my teachers were the ones to extract me from my vehicle. The first thing they said was, "We cannot believe no one died." The next statement was that they do not expect to meet their students like this. They placed me on a backboard and a neck brace to pull me out of my car. I hear someone repeatedly yelling, "She hit our vehicle." I see my mother and sister arrive as I am being loaded into the ambulance. I have never seen anyone look so terrified. I do not know how I feel. The state trooper accompanied me to the hospital. He wanted to assure me that he knew I heard them yelling and did not want me to believe that I was at fault for the accident. He followed me to ensure that his report accurately reflected that it was not my fault. Only one other person sustained injuries, the passenger in the back seat. She broke both of her hips. There were open containers discovered in the vehicle. The occupants had just finished their shifts at Dunkin' Donuts and were going to meet some friends. Because of my injuries and those of the other woman, this situation was not merely a matter of paying for property damages, so I had to initiate a 4.5-year lawsuit. I will not detail all my injuries, but the one causing the most issues is the complex regional pain syndrome I developed in both legs due to the accident. In October 2020, I received a spinal cord stimulator implant. It transformed my life. I felt good, not to the extent that I believed I could return to the healthcare field, but I regarded it as life guiding me away from that path for some unknown reason. I traveled solo to Antarctica and explored Argentina for 7 days alone. I was reclaiming my life. My doctors stated that I was a poster child for the spinal cord stimulator. In mid-last year, 2024, my spinal cord stimulator began to malfunction. I was supposed to have at least 10 years before needing a battery replacement. They have conducted X-rays and MRIs but cannot identify a clear reason for the malfunction. The only lead that still functions does not really help on its own, and sometimes it feels like it causes additional pain, though I could simply be more sensitive than usual. It has taken this long for my doctors to get organized. I have a consultation with my neurosurgeon scheduled for April 10th, but I am so unbelievably exhausted. I am tired of walking with a cane. I am worn out from my legs, feeling as though they are being crushed. I am fed up with jeans making my legs feel as if they are on fire for the rest of the day. I am weary of my back, feeling like a serrated knife is piercing through it every time I need to urinate, cough, bend over, or sneeze. My employer will not decrease my hours so that I might apply for disability. I have pleaded with them, especially after I got into trouble for sitting down during work hours. Following this, I obtained a doctor's note permitting me to sit as needed. After that, I received a write-up because it appeared I did not make eye contact with a customer, which led to a complaint. I found this peculiar since I had never been in trouble or written up before. I experienced substantial pain, so it is entirely possible that a customer misconstrued my wincing and failure to make eye contact as rudeness. However, I also understand that my visible pain and cane can make customers uncomfortable, leading them to avoid asking for my assistance, so I try hard not to show it. I feel as if my prolonged wait for surgery, I am uncertain how long it will take after the 10th, means they are trying to push me out. For context, I am the assistant manager of a local retail store. It is not a chain, just 2 shops. I earn commission, and after I brought in my light duty, please allow me to sit note, I was reassigned to work as a cashier. This is acceptable, but a significant portion of my paycheck depends on commission, which I cannot earn as a cashier. I also keep being sent home early, which could be acceptable, except that they still schedule me for over 25 hours, usually 26, preventing me from applying for disability. I cannot afford to stop working entirely while awaiting disability, and I know how challenging it is to obtain. I do not want to seek another job right now because I do not wish to start somewhere new only to be sidelined for surgery. Beyond all of that, even if I undergo my surgery, I fear that my complex regional pain syndrome has begun to spread. I have gone without assistance or treatment for so long my pain management doctors are ineffective that I worry I will continue to be in rough shape even after the surgery. Even immediately following my accident, I never experienced this level of consistently debilitating pain. I recently switched pain management doctors and I have finally been prescribed Lyrica. I requested it from my previous doctors as gabapentin did not alleviate my symptoms and the side effects were intolerable, but they claimed that because it is a controlled medication, they required a referral from a psychiatrist due to signs of depression. This is no secret. I have been on Zoloft and Wellbutrin for an extended period and they are aware of this. Moreover, I was on these medications when I was initially prescribed Lyrica. They never forwarded any information to my psychiatrist. I have a visible knot on my upper back and requested a trigger point injection, but was instead referred for an MRI, which they never actually submitted. It took them 3 months to send my referral to my neurosurgeon because I supposedly needed a referral from my primary physician. My insurance company says that I do not. Therefore, it has been a lot of unnecessary back and forth. I am extremely frustrated. I cannot seem to achieve anything. My apartment is a mess and my car is cluttered. I do not know how I will pay rent. I hope my paycheck exceeds my expectations. Taking a shower is exceedingly painful and difficult. I have 2 dogs that consume all the limited energy I can muster when it is time to walk them. Please understand, one is a childhood dog, and I acquired the other when I was not experiencing health issues. I did not just acquire pets I cannot care for, they are my reason for living. I cannot take a breath without feeling pain, and both of my feet are swollen while I keep developing these lesions. My right armpit, only the right one, has begun sweating profusely regardless of my actions, not painful but embarrassing and unpleasant. My right hand will not grip anything securely. My legs look red and unattractive. I sometimes use a cane while walking. This used to be rare but has become more frequent. I can no longer write in my elegant calligraphy, embroider, draw, or grocery shop independently. I cannot wear jeans without my body feeling attacked. I am not even 30 years old yet this year. Everything was stripped from me once. For some reason, facing this a second time is much more difficult. It is occurring more gradually and I feel as though I cannot foresee an end to the suffering. I cannot continue living like this. I cannot wake up each day feeling this way. I cannot endure another night of only 20-minute sleep intervals. I cannot spend another day feeling as though a truck is resting on my lower body. No one listens to me or takes me seriously. I feel as though everyone assumes I am fabricating my pain and no one is willing to help me. I reached out to the law office that assisted me previously, but they informed me I do not have a case, which I anticipated. I am simply desperate for something to change. I am desperate for this to be over. I am desperate to feel nothing. If you have read this, I truly appreciate it. Story 4. Caught in a whirlwind, I stepped up to care for my ailing stepdad while my parents drained their savings. My sister and her fiancé, fully aware, kept demanding their 11K loan back. When my mom fell, I finally snapped, "Don't you think now's a great time to ask for your money? What will they say next?" Okay, I would like to jump right in with a bit of background. The context is important for the conclusion. My parents own a trucking company that my stepfather manages from an office setting at home. This has been his career since the 1990s, and after meeting my mother in 2010, he settled in with my family, choosing the more office-oriented aspect of the job to be with us. They have built a lovely life together, with my mother finally having the 2 horses she has always wanted. She also rescued 3 goats and is, of course, proud of that. They own their own house and have created a cozy little nest for themselves. My stepfather is also a very fiscally conservative and responsible man. Last year, unexpectedly, my stepfather became quite ill. He was diagnosed with stage 2 colon cancer, went to the hospital for what was planned to be a weekend for a scheduled surgery, and due to complications was in a coma for 10 days. We did not know if he would survive. I have nothing really tying me down, no children, no house of my own, so when my mother asked me to look after the house and the farm animals while they were at the hospital, I without hesitation agreed. He ended up staying in the hospital for over 7 weeks. They had to pay all his medical bills that insurance did not cover, pay for my mother's living expenses away from home, and sustain herself. They depleted all of their savings, had to lay off many of their loyal drivers, and went into almost survival mode just to keep some money coming into the business while he was recovering from his near-death experience. While watching over the house, I lived off the substantial $1 bill and change collection my parents amassed over the years, probably about $1,000 in $1 bills and maybe $500 in mostly quarters. I was completely fine with it. I did not mind paying for groceries and gas in $1 bills or bags of change, whatever I could do to take the stress off my mother. She was worried about not being able to wire me any money during this time to keep the house pets, 1 large dog and 3 fat cats fed. Eventually, my stepfather began to make a slow but steady recovery. He was practically skeletal upon returning home, and my mother, being a veteran in the medical assisting field, is familiar with caring for people medically, and they wanted to get him back home. I remained nearby to help her mainly with the farm chores because caring for my stepfather was incredibly demanding. His goal, of course, was to jump right back into work, although it was a long shot for some time. Stress also greatly exacerbates my stepfather's condition. This brings me to the core of my story. My parents turned to my older sister and her fiancé for a loan of $11,000 so they could pay a couple of trusted truck drivers to get back on the road in an attempt to reorganize efforts to restore the company to profitability. They asked for assistance in an effort to relieve actual stress so my stepfather could focus on revamping the company. Both of my parents have not really been in a position to ask for financial help since they began running the company together. They do not like to ask unless it is an emergency of any kind, especially financially. My sister and her fiancé also own and operate a very lucrative business and always have a surplus of money to spend on vacations, jewelry, and hobbies like motorcycling and automotive-related activities. A year later, in the present day, my parents' business is still operating with 60% fewer drivers, which of course translates to significantly less income to help them out of debt. My parents opened several credit lines and are constantly striving to keep the company afloat and pay bills. My sister and her fiancé have repeatedly requested the repayment of their loan from my parents. This, of course, is entirely within their rights, and they have a written agreement regarding timely repayment. The issue for me is that my parents are still struggling to pay bills and recover from the trauma, both emotionally and financially, they endured last year. My sister and her fiancé have recently, in the past 6 months, spent money on leisure activities such as visiting casinos and planning international vacations and cruises, as well as motorcycle-centered trips that cost thousands of dollars. My sister and her fiancé are not struggling nearly to the same degree as my parents have been, and they are fully aware of this fact. I know I have been here to assist my mother in every way I can physically around the house with chores so she can actually sit down and relax. I personally do not get along well with my sister's fiancé and have consciously chosen not to interact or engage with him in any way. For years, I have held my tongue about how he has treated my sister, my family, and certain personal aspects of his life out of respect for my sister. I am not the type of person who looks for trouble and enjoys causing conflict, but I am also not someone who will remain silent about mounting irritations due to her fiancé's insensitivities. After several conversations, my mother assured my sister's fiancé that they would, of course, pay them back as soon as possible. However, he continued to call and text my mother past 9 p.m. to discuss the loan further. Meanwhile, during that same week, he and my sister were scheduled to go on a trip to the Caribbean while my parents are accumulating credit card debt to buy groceries and keep the lights on. He asked my parents if they could sign a revised contract regarding repaying his loan within 90 days, and my parents declined. I have kept my silence for all these months while I have watched, with my own two eyes, my parents struggling in an unprecedented manner throughout their entire relationship. They do not see what I observe daily, how tired and drained my parents are from months of stress. My sister and her fiancé do not ever visit. They never plan trips to come out here even to see my parents for just a day. They live 3 hours away. For months, I have contemplated the things I wanted to say to my sister and her fiancé, thinking of the right words to express how insensitive, selfish, and frankly delusional they are being toward our parents' plight. Yet I find myself biting my tongue and remaining silent for the sake of my parents. Just yesterday, my mother took a serious fall down the icy steps and injured her shoulder. I was nearby when I heard my mother on the phone with my sister, telling her about the situation, and she half-heartedly thanked me for being there for her. I did not respond right away. About an hour later, I initiated a conversation between my sister, her fiancé, and myself. The only thing I sent to the group chat was, "I heard you both found out about what happened to Mom this morning. Don't you think now would be a great opportunity to ask her for your loan back? Maybe come up here and give her a good kick in the ribs while she's down?" I have not received a reply, and it felt amazing to express my feelings honestly. I had many unkind and vivid descriptive insults about their character that I considered over the past several months, but instead I opted for this. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for reading.